So today, we're going to watch me apply for the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card. And I am super pumped for this video because for me, this was no normal credit card application. As someone who was not a US Bank customer, I knew getting approved for my first US Bank credit card was going to be a challenge. So I applied concepts from personal finance as well as credit score fundamentals to maximize my approval odds for this particular application. And in this video, I'm going to explain what I did, how I did it, and how I was able to get approved for this card. Now, as we all know, US Bank is one of those banks that is not straightforward when it comes to credit card applications. In fact, there are many data points out there showing credit card denials for people who have a lot of credit cards, higher total credit limits, and even those with credit scores in the high 700s or even in the 800s. And it's common knowledge that one of the best ways to help your US Bank credit card application is to establish a banking relationship with them. Now, for the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card in particular, this used to be a requirement, but recently that requirement was dropped, so you can now apply for this card without having this previous relationship. Still, having this relationship wouldn't hurt, and so the first move on my part was to get one started. Now, there are several ways to do this, but there are two common strategies that are used specifically when it comes to getting the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card, and that is to either get a lower tier US Bank credit card or get a US Bank checking account. And for me, I decided to do the latter option, which was getting a new US Bank checking account. Now, as luck would have it, back a few months ago in June, US Bank was running a checking account bonus where if I opened a US Bank Smartly checking account, I could earn $300. And this was really convenient because I was going to open a US Bank checking account anyways. Not because I really wanted one, but because I knew that I eventually wanted to get this US Bank Altitude Reserve Card, so I decided to open one during this promotional period. But of course, to get this $300, there were three requirements. Enroll in the US Bank mobile app or online banking, complete 2 or more direct deposits totaling $5,000 or more, and complete a minimum of 10 debit card purchases totaling $100 or more, and to complete all 3 of these tasks within 90 days of account opening. So looking at these requirements, online enrollment and doing the debit card purchases would be no problem. But the main issue was figuring out how to complete the 2 direct deposits totaling $5,000 since I didn't really want to move my direct deposit for this purpose. And to complete this requirement, this is what I did instead. I have an account with Ally Bank, and Ally has been nothing but awesome since I started banking with them. And one of the reasons why I like Ally Bank so much is that bigger banks such as US Bank usually have ACH transfer limits that are pretty limiting. For example, US Bank restricts my incoming and outgoing ACH transfers to only $1,000 per day, which frankly makes transferring money using US Bank unusable. But with Ally Bank, there's a much higher daily maximum for incoming and outgoing ACH transfers, which is $500,000. And as you'd expect, this is way more flexible. And so to complete this direct deposit requirement, I scheduled 2 deposits around $2,500 apiece using my account from Ally Bank and pushed this money into my US Bank checking account on 2 separate days. And once both of those deposits cleared, this was registered as a direct deposit by US Bank, and I received that $300 bonus at the end of my statement period, which is about a month later. So now the checking account was in place, I got $300 for basically no work, and I was building my relationship with US Bank, which was the ultimate goal in the first place. But I didn't stop there. US Bank has a loyalty program called Smart Rewards, and I also wanted to continue to improve my relationship with them by at least getting into the primary tier of their rewards program. And since we're currently in a higher interest rate environment, I decided to do this by depositing $20,000 to open up a 7-month CD at a 4.8% APY, bumping me into the primary status tier of that Smart Rewards program. Now, was this step really necessary? I'm not sure, and I don't really think so, but having a higher tier status with US Bank was definitely not going to hurt. Okay, so another factor that needs to be considered when applying for US Bank credit cards is that they really don't like you to have any recent accounts or any recent inquiries on your credit report. Specifically, it's generally recommended to have 0 to 1 new accounts and 0 to 1 new inquiries on your credit report for at least 6 months before applying for a US Bank credit card, although there's always exceptions and your mileage may vary. Now, over the past year, I've been gardening my credit report to get under Chase 524. But even though that was the original plan, I decided mid-year that I'd rather get the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card instead, and since I had been gardening this whole time, this presented a perfect opportunity to change my credit card portfolio strategy to get this card. Looking at my previous credit card applications, my last personal credit card I applied for was the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card in September of 2022. I also applied for the Amex Hilton Honors Business Card in December 2022, the Amex Marriott Bonvoy Business Card in March of 2023, and the Amex Business Gold Card in May of 2023, and was able to get some pretty decent sign-up bonuses along the way. But what was really nice about my last 3 credit cards were that they were American Express business cards, which do not report to my personal credit report, and each of these applications and approvals were only a soft pull, meaning no hard inquiry was added to my personal credit report either. So at the time of my application, my credit report showed my new accounts at 0 in the last 6 months, 0 in the last 12 months, and 4 in the last 24 months, with my Experian credit report showing 2 hard pulls that were both over 12 months old. And I'm focusing on Experian specifically because that was the bureau that was pulled when I did this application. So with this credit report status, I was in the clear with no new accounts or no new inquiries in over 12 months, which was going to make my US Bank application that much more favorable. Of course, I wanted to really maximize my chances, so I also wanted to get my credit score to be as high as possible at the time of my application. And the strategy I used to do this was the AZEO method, also known as all 0 except 1. As we all know, credit utilization is 30% of your credit score. So if you can lower this as much as possible the month before you plan on applying for a credit card, this is one of the best methods to increase your credit score very quickly. The AZEO strategy is exactly how it sounds. You take all of your credit cards, pay off all the balances before the next statement posts on each card, except for one credit card where you just leave a small balance. And so once you do that, you can get your credit utilization to as close to 0% as possible without it actually being 0%. For me, this was pretty easy to organize since all of my credit card statements close within days of each other. So what I did was pay down all of my credit cards in full before that statement close date on each one of the cards, except for one card where I left a $2 charge. And you can see here from my Credit Karma usage report that I've paid down every one of my credit cards except for my Barclay card, which has a $2 charge on it. So since my total credit limit on my personal credit report is $233,500, with that $2 charge, my credit utilization is 0.0009%, so it's close to 0, but still not 0. And so what effect, if any, did the AZEO strategy have on my personal credit score? Well, my Experian credit score jumped from 796 to 812, which is a 16-point jump, and so you can see that the AZEO method was very effective to boost my credit score in the short term in preparation for this US Bank Altitude Reserve application. Okay, so let's recap. I established a relationship with the US Bank by starting a checking account, which was about 3 months old at the time of my application, and of course, timed it to get that $300 bank account bonus, and I also opened a CD qualifying me for the primary tier of their Smart Rewards program. I guarded my credit report so that I had 0 new personal credit card accounts and 0 new credit inquiries in the past 12 months. And I used the AZEO method to give a short-term boost to my credit score, elevating my Experian credit score by 16 points to 812. And so with all of that planning and preparation done, let's now go ahead and watch me apply for this card. Okay, so here we are at the US Bank website, and of course, we need to scroll down to our desired card, which is the US Bank Altitude Reserve card, so let's go ahead and do that now. We can see that we do have that 50,000 point sign-up bonus worth $750 in travel when we spend $4,500 in the first 90 days, so let's go ahead and click Apply now. So this is the main application page, and before we continue, it's always important to make sure that we have the right card with the right sign-up bonus. We can see that we're on the right application page for the US Bank Altitude Reserve card, and we've already confirmed the sign-up bonus on the main page as well, so let's go ahead and continue. Since I'm already signed into my online US Bank account, most of the basic information has already been pre-populated, but I still need to add my monthly housing payment, my yearly household income, and my primary source of income as well. Okay, so now that I've entered that information, let's go ahead and click Save and Continue. It also asks if I want to transfer a balance, and so that would be no. And it asks if I want to add an authorized user, and I may want to do this in the future, but as of right now, I'm also going to select no. Okay, so it looks like we're at a confirmation page, making sure that all of the information looks right, and it does, so let's go ahead and click Save and Continue. Okay, so here are the terms and conditions, and at the very bottom, it looks like we have a button here where we can accept the terms and submit, so it looks like this is it. All right, so let's do this. So here we go in 3, 2, 1, and submit. Okay, so here we are, reviewing your info. Ugh, I'm so nervous for this one. Fun fact, this is my first credit card application with a bank that's not American Express, Chase, or Bank of America in over 10 years. So I don't know. Hopefully this goes well. Oh, that is awful. Okay, it reads, thanks for considering US Bank. We appreciate your interest in US Bank, but your application was not approved. You'll receive more information about our decision via mail in 7 to 10 days. Well, all right then. So yeah, that was not the decision I was hoping for. Now, even though getting denied sucks, it's really important to keep your eye on the ball and call the reconsideration line just to make sure that this denial is truly a denial. After looking up the US Bank credit card customer service number on Google, I called in to check the status of my credit card application about 5 minutes after I was automatically denied. When I spoke to the customer service representative, I told her that I recently applied for and was denied for the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card and was wondering if they needed any specific documents to reconsider my application. Since this was my first credit card application with US Bank, I suspected that they needed to verify my identity, which is why I phrased the question in the way that I did. The customer service representative transferred me over to their credit card underwriting department, and after waiting a solid 30 minutes or so on the phone, finally someone picked up and I again explained my situation to them. The agent asked me a few basic demographic questions and then placed me on hold for another 15 minutes or so. When she returned, she explained that she pushed my credit card application to their underwriting team for a manual review and that I should expect a decision within 1 to 2 business days. And so that was that. I hung up the phone and went about my day, but to my delight, in about 3 hours, I received this email congratulating me on getting approved for the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card. And I was able to log into my online account right away and see this new card there with a credit limit of $25,000, as well as this very nice sign-up bonus counter that showed me that the card was active with that 50,000 bonus point offer. Of course, US Bank did do a hard pull for this application, and like I mentioned before, they did a single hard pull on my Experian credit report. The following day, I was notified that the card was ordered and shipped, and I received the card via next day air the day after that, so I was able to have this card in hand within 3 days of applying for the card, getting denied, and then getting approved through reconsideration. So as you can see, making a solid plan for your next credit card application can definitely pay off. Since I have a lot of credit cards with higher limits, I was concerned that US Bank would not even consider me as a potential credit card customer. Now, did I have to do that much preparation for this application? No, not at all. In fact, I could have just skipped everything we just talked about and just applied for this card outright. But based on previous data points, I felt that this was not the right move for me, and I decided to be slow and methodical with this credit card application, and thankfully, I was able to get approved for this card. And I also want to emphasize that even if you get denied outright for a credit card, always, always, always call the reconsideration line to see if something can be done to overturn that denial and turn that frown upside down. When you hit that submit button on your credit card application, you're committing to the process. And if you're not automatically approved, just remember that there's more to it than just the initial decision. And so that's how I got my first US Bank credit card, which was the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card. And I am super excited on adding this card as the foundational card in my core credit card setup. And to see exactly how I plan to do this, check out this video next.